Good morning. You'll see shortly why I'm up here. This journal is from today, 4/24/2010. It's the first one, Mayan calendar day, 7 rabbit or star. There's been great opposition to getting this said, so as you see, the software locks up. Now those are my eyes, see? That's me. So I'm going to go ahead. Just ignore the frozen lips there, okay? Uh, the Galactic Federation and Kavassilas. Please be in heart to listen to this. With some caution, I'd like to recommend a lecture by George Kavassilas regarding both the Galactic Federation of Light and his experiences with the imposters of this dear group of light beings. This 3-part lecture is among both my YouTube playlists and favorites. So then, if this is in my favorites, why do I hesitate to recommend it? For several reasons. First, not many, but a few things among my favorites are there because I feel people should know about them, not necessarily because I agree with them or support what they say. There's a Cisco Systems presentation, for instance, where someone at a great distance from a lecture hall makes a presentation there via full-body hologram. It's important that we know this technology is far advanced of what the public is allowed to know. We are often duped due to our ignorance of the real state of technology, not just what is released for public consumption. Black projects and black ops are a century ahead, at a bare minimum, of what is revealed, and this technology is used every day to deceive us. Now, back to Kavassilas and his '09 lecture called Our Journey and the Grand Deception. I've put it at the top of both my favorites and playlists to make it easier to find. I recommend everyone listen at least once to this lecture. Then you can make your own judgments, or rather your own discernment on it. I'm not saying it's true or not true. George is sharing his personal experience, and that has value. One doesn't judge from within the heart anyway, but one does discern. While heart holds the key or portal to all wisdom and even knowledge, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything we desire to know is immediately revealed to us there. That's what mind is wanting. There is such a thing as a divine plan or divine timing that is often involved. I don't know is still a very favorite phrase I employ often. Paradox reigns supreme as we approach wisdom's gates. But, again, back to Kavassilas, a delightful Aussie with quite a repertoire of experiences with both ETs and dimensions under his belt. You may have seen or heard of a similar lecture he gave in '04 about the Galactic Federation of Light and what he knew of them back then. In this '09 lecture, in my favorites, he freely admits that he was duped or misled to a certain extent by them in that earlier presentation. The '09 lecture, then, is, at least to some extent, to correct that, bring us up to date on what he now knows about this group, or rather, about those that impersonate it. The point I'd like to make here is that there is definitely a Galactic Federation, a la Star Wars, that is of the light. How Hollywood manages to know so much is amazing, but anyway, there is also an imposter of this bright federation that passes itself off as the Galactic Federation, but that is anything but. It's a bit complicated, but not really. Even in sacred scripture, the warning is given that the devil will try to pass himself off as an angel of light. This is no different. Actually, this is the same thing. And why not? Come on, any self-respecting dark being would be a fool not to try to do this. It's really the best way to dupe people, don't you see? That way, they get in under people's radar by entering their trust and then go from there. We will accept all sorts of things if we trust in the source, right? That's when we're in head. we often accept unquestioningly, simply because we trust. Okay, two things. First, it is when we are in mind relying on thought that we are thus vulnerable to being tricked and misled. Mind has no North Star, no anchor to source absent heart. Thus, as ever, my recommendation is to simply be in heart when taking in this sort of information, or information from this sort of source. Remember, mind can be misled easily, especially when we're subjected to tremendously advanced technology. Heart does not have that vulnerability. Second, it's just not the end of the world to be misled. It's no big deal, really. We've all been misled any number of times. It's only mind that thinks it is. Mind can get quite upset on discovering that it has been duped or manipulated. Heart, on the other hand, being both wise and humble, is unimpressed. Having the North Star of Source, heart is ever aware that absolutely all is for blessing. Heart will thus find the blessing in that. Again, please be in heart to listen to this, for only in heart does it make good sense. Sometimes, my friends, we are meant to be misled. Sometimes we actually choose that, and for good reason and cause. Before we incarnate, we set these things up. They are part of the overall plan. Have you not found that from some of your darkest times, the greatest light has arisen? Well, do you think that's an accident? By being in heart, we win. Period. From that solid home base, we have an unshakable knowledge that some have labeled faith, that God's in his heaven and all's right with the world, so to speak. It's not that, really. That's just a saying that points to what I mean. There are crumb trails and hints in all the world's scriptures pointing to the experience of the kingdom of heart. They are little sayings that we've heard often, but once we have the direct experience of them, we realize how little of it is really conveyed by the sayings, on the one hand, and on the other, how right the little sayings are. Paradox once again. Another one is, all things work for good for them that love the Lord. This is a very good pointer as well, for everything is indeed a blessing. Yes, barring nothing, even world wars and 9/11 and concentration camps and anything else you could name. Care to get over your horror there and drop back down into heart? If you don't, you've no chance of getting what's just been said. Oh, you can translate the words, look each one of them up, and come up with the meaning based on that. You'll be wrong. Words are just pointers. They are strictly things of mind, symbols. They do not communicate in and of themselves. They only symbolize what is being said. They do not say it. Thus, you can attack me for what I am saying without even knowing what I am saying if you stay in the head. People do this sort of thing all the time. Some make their living at it. It is the dance of the mind that thinks it knows what has been said simply because it knows the definition of words. This is shallow, my friends. The door to the magical kingdom, the kingdom of heart, is always open, but you must walk in. No one can take you there. You do it yourself. I can sing to you through the open doorway, but you must enter in to see if my song sings truly. And one last tidbit for mind. We see things as quote-unquote bad, dark, or evil when we are identified with the form, with the mind, with the body. As long as we think this is us, then we can interpret things as bad. Once we realize that we are not that, everything changes. Everything. It changes for us. Though things may continue to look the same on the outside, on the surface, yet everything is changed. Nothing means anymore what it once did. We see through new eyes entirely. Behold, it is said, I make all things new. Maybe this is what that means. I don't know. Anyway, I'll let the Kavassilas lecture speak for itself. Just be in heart to listen, that's all. Good day. So then, if this is in my favorites, why do I hesitate to recommend it? For several reasons. First, not many, but a few things among my favorites are there because I feel people should know about them, not necessarily because I agree with them or support what they say. There's a Cisco Systems presentation, for instance, where someone at a great distance from a lecture hall makes a presentation there via full-body hologram. It's important that we know this technology is far advanced of what the public is allowed to know. We are often duped due to our ignorance of the real state of technology, not just what. Good morning. You'll see shortly why I'm up here. This journal is from today, 4/24/2010. It's the first one, Mayan calendar day, 7 rabbit or star. There's been great opposition to getting this said, so as you start to listen to this, with some caution, I'd like to recommend a lecture by George Kavassilas regarding both the Galactic Federation of Light and his experiences with the imposters of this dear group of light beings. This 3-part lecture is among both my YouTube playlists and favorites. You see, the software locks up. Now, those are my eyes, see? That's me. So I'm going to go ahead. Just ignore the frozen lips there, okay? The Galactic Federation and Kavassilas. Please, be in heart.